Abdul-Jabbar turned down more than 100 college scholarship offers, settling on UCLA. Beginning in 1966, with Alcindor in the middle, the Bruins won 88 games and lost only 2. He was simply unstoppable. Defenses tried everything to slow him down. Rules were even changed to outlaw the dunk, but Alcindor just continued to excel, earning 2 Player of the Year honors. When the curtain finally closed on the Alcindor era, UCLA had become the first school in history to collect 3 consecutive national championships. At the center of it all was one of the greatest players the game had ever seen, Lou Alcindor. There were a number of centers who stood out in the pivot position in the 1970s. At 7 feet 2 inches tall, Artis Gilmore was an intimidating sight to any opposing defense. Playing at Jacksonville, he powered the Dolphins to the championship game in 1970 versus UCLA. 6-foot 11-inch Bob Lanier was a tower of power at St. Bonaventure. He was named first-team All-American in 1970. Dan Issel, a 3-time All-SEC center, averaged close to 40 points a game one season at the University of Kentucky. North Carolina State's 7-foot 4-inch Tom Burleson scored over 2,000 points in his college career. He was a tremendous shot blocker, possessed a soft inside touch around the basket, and helped secure the 1974 national championship for the Wolfpack. At 6 feet 11 inches, an extremely mobile Bill Walton was everything UCLA coach John Wooden expected in a big man. With teammates Keith Wilkes, Greg Lee, Larry Farmer, and Henry Bibby, the Walton gang was invincible, going 2.5 years and 88 consecutive games without losing. In the 1973 NCAA final against Memphis State, Bill Walton played the greatest offensive game in Final Four history, scoring 44 points and hitting on 21 of 22 field goal attempts. Bill Walton capped his brilliant career at UCLA by winning 3 consecutive Player of the Year honors. In the 1980s, college hoop fans were treated to a succession of big men who raised the level of play at the center position. Ralph Sampson of Virginia won college basketball's Player of the Year honors from 1981 through 1983. He dominated the Atlantic Coast Conference, capturing individual titles in scoring, rebounding, and blocked shots. Georgetown's Patrick Ewing was a shot-blocking machine. He was a dominating force around the basket, leading the Hoyas to the national title in 1984. The Houston Cougars showcased the awesome power of center Akeem Olajuwon. Finally, David Robinson of the Naval Academy burst onto the scene in 1986. His amazing shot-blocking talents and inside scoring propelled underdog Navy to national prominence in the mid-1980s. In the history of college basketball can approach the success of UCLA. Between 1964 and 1975, the Bruins were unstoppable, winning 333 games, losing 22, and bringing home an amazing 10 national titles. Behind this, the greatest dynasty in college basketball history, stood one remarkable man. His name, John Robert Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood. In 1949, John Wooden accepted the head coaching position at UCLA and set about the task of turning Westwood into a winner. Despite some early successes, Wooden did not immediately bring national prominence to UCLA. In fact, it took 13 seasons before the Bruins made their first trip to the Final Four. Over the next 12 years, his teams won an incredible 10 national championships. And over those years, he coached some of college basketball's greatest players. John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood, a coach responsible for the greatest dynasty in college basketball history. Beginning in 1931 and lasting for more than 4 decades, one man, Adolph the Baron Rupp, ruled the sidelines of Lexington, Kentucky, while collecting more victories than any coach in history. 874. Adolph Rupp made the University of Kentucky synonymous with college basketball success. Rupp put together college basketball's first superstar team in 1948. They were called the Fabulous Five and featured All-Americans Ralph Beard, Alex Groza, and Wallace Wawa Jones. In a 3-year span, the Fabulous Five won 100 games, lost but 7, and won 2 national championships. In 1951, he collected his third.
An unbelievable spirit. In 1891, Dr. James Naismith hung that first basket, that famous peach basket, and the great game of basketball was born. Tonight, 100 years later, we celebrate that great moment with 2 of the most storied programs in the history of college basketball, the Indiana Hoosiers and the UCLA Bruins. Here we are with the greatest success story in the history of college basketball, the Wizard of Westwood, John Wooden, the greatest coach of all time. Think about it, 10 national championships in 12 years, an unbelievable accomplishment. And he gave us so many thrills and gave us so many great players, including Lou Alcindor, the greatest big player ever to play the game. And then there was the redhead, Big Red Bill Walton, who led UCLA to 2 national championships. And now it's in the hands of the shooting machine, Don McLean, if UCLA will have a chance again to win another national title. And their opponents tonight, the Indiana Hoosiers, led by this man, the General Robert Montgomery Knight. Since arriving in Indiana in 1972, he has guided them to 3 national championships. The first one was in 1976, led by Quinn Buckner's brilliant play. And then it was 1981, led by Isaiah Thomas and his unbelievable point guard play. And then it was 1987, led by Steve Alford, the all-time leading scorer in the history of Indiana. And if Indiana is to get Bobby Knight's 4th national championship, it will be up to the left-handed shooting ability of Calbert Cheaney. Gary Thorne, I'm so pumped up, I can't wait. 2 of the greatest programs. It's the Indiana Hoosiers, the UCLA Bruins. Let's play some hoops, baby.
Oh, baby, if we could only get you up for these basketball games, Dick Vitale. Thank you and welcome. This is Springfield, Massachusetts, and the home of basketball. This is the Hall of Fame Tip-Off Classic, and what a matchup we've got tonight. Hello, everybody. Gary Thorne, ESPN, delighted to be with you to start in the 100th anniversary of basketball. This is where it all began, and what a way to begin it this year. Indiana University, with Bobby Knight at the helm, is here. Indiana's Bobby Knight was put into the Hall of Fame here this year in May. His club last season had a great record, 29 wins. He says we gave up 2 of those 5 losses. We could have been even better. And then a loss to Kansas. They are not going to forget that. He has not let them. All 5 starters are returning. The UCLA Bruins. Jim Herrick, 4th year. After 9 years at Pepperdine, he has taken them 3 consecutive seasons to the NCAAs with that great record last year. They, too, suffer the loss. Penn State, they, too, have all 5 starters returning. This is a tremendous matchup for so early in the season. It couldn't be earlier. The very first game, 2 teams who have a chance to contend for at least one of the spots in the top 10 and maybe even more. That's what's at stake here tonight. It won't make a year, but it may well set a precedent. We'll be back right after this and John Saunders.
Remember how much fun it used to be to play in the snow? Well, it still is. To visit a place where the snow is as good as it gets and all the ways to play in it have been perfected, just call 1-800-COLORADO. Get a free vacation guide, a travel discount certificate from Continental, and a chance to return to childhood.
My furnace? Not a day of trouble, ever.
Must be a good one.
Must be a Lennox.
It must be.
Make no payments and pay no interest for 90 days when you purchase Lennox heating and cooling equipment.
Commitment, value, respect. 3 reasons why people keep coming back to ABC Services for their home comfort needs.
Discover the ABC Services difference and see what quality really is.
ABC Services, serving the Bay Area for over 40 years.
Attaboy, Dave.
Welcome back once again, everyone, to another season of NCAA basketball here on ESPN. Number 2 against number 11. Indiana against UCLA. We'll get to Springfield in just a moment. But first, let's remind you why ESPN is the place to be this college basketball season. 216 games, 62 tournament games, 31 games during championship week. 118 teams will be featured in 30 of last year's final 32. Tonight at halftime, our first halftime of the year, who is this man? The founder of basketball, Dr. James Naismith, invented the games 100 years ago. And is tonight Back to the Future? They have 15 titles between them. But how much time does Indiana and UCLA spend looking back at the heroes of their past for inspiration? We will let you know. And Shaq is back. He can bring down the roof, but bringing down the rim as well. A closer look at halftime. So stay with us. Basketball ready to tip off from Springfield in just a moment. UCLA and Indiana in a moment.
Before investing in any luxury car, may we suggest you do slightly more than kick the tires?
Come out, wherever you are.
Gene Shalit calls Cape Fear one of the most sensational suspense movies ever made. An unremitting portrait of evil, raves Roger Ebert.
Where are you from?
4 stars from Us magazine.
Maybe I'm the big bad wolf.
A great monumental work of terror. And Rolling Stone says Martin Scorsese unleashes a series of shocks that will leave you breathless. Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, Cape Fear. Rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Presenting the G-Shock watch from Casio. The water-resistant sports watch that's ready for action. With a built-in shock absorber. It's tough. So tough, this G-Shock can take a slap in the face and not even flinch. The Casio G-Shock. It's one tough watch to beat. And now these new additions to our G-Shock collection from Casio, where miracles never cease.
What does it take to be a mountain man? Let's see. A mountain man must be fearless, sure-footed, willing to answer the call of the wild. But most of all, a mountain man should be thirsty for a smooth bush beer or an easy drinking bush light. So, head for the mountains and see if you have what it takes to be a real mountain man.
ESPN's NCAA basketball is brought to you by Range Rover, the most sensible driving car in the world. By the people of Nike, who encourage you to just do it. And by smooth Busch beer and easy drinking Busch Light.
That's what I do. We are back here for the Hall of Fame Tip-Off Classic. It is sold out, needless to say. Everything associated with the weekend is. Jim Herrick, 66 and 30, entering his 4th season at UCLA. And his lineup tonight will feature Gerald Madkins. Keep an eye on him tonight because Madkins is an outstanding steal man. 117 career steals. Last season led the club with 48. And Bobby Knight has got the Hoosiers here, his 21st year at Indiana University. Those are the numbers that he has put up. He has got a great team on the floor, including this senior, Eric Anderson, 6'9", just 20 years old.
Gary, they really worked so hard together, these kids, all summer.
His locker back at Indiana has got a story in it. It's about last season, about a loss they suffered in the NCAAs. He says that loss brought us down to earth.
Last summer, what he did also, during the past summer, he bonded all the players that went on a weight training program, and he united. They really want to come back after being humiliated by Kansas.
Nover and Zimmerman on the tip, and it'll be controlled by Indiana, and we are underway. What a big game so early. Damon Berry will be working with Greg Graham. Graham will be working on the point. There's Bailey, outstanding basketball player, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year last season. They'll try and go inside as much as they can. Block made, foul called.
That's one of the keys of Indiana basketball. Shot selection, great ball movement, high percentage shot. When you speak about Bobby Knight, there are two major factors. Great offensive ball movement for the high percentage shot and team defense.
Zimmerman will be called for the foul underneath. These guys will see a lot of one another, Zimmerman and Eric Anderson.
Hey, Gary, basically the style of play in this game should come down to this. Indiana wants to go 5-on-5 and carve you apart, utilizing their screening game. On the other side, UCLA wants to beat you in transition.